Utility analysis. Introduction. You have been already introduced to the concept of utility in class 11. This unit gives a detailed explanation of consumers' behavior. In practice, every individual tries to satisfy his wants with available resources. It is true that all human wants cannot be satisfied fully at a specific time. Utility analysis explains a consumer's behavior in relation to maximization of satisfaction. Features of utility. Following are the features of utility. First, relative concept. Utility is related to time and place. It varies from time to time and place to place. For example, woolen clothes have a greater utility in the winter. Sand has greater utility at the construction site than at the seashore. Second, subjective concept. It is a psychological concept. Utility differs from person to person. This is due to differences in taste, preferences, likes, dislikes, nature, habits, profession, etc. For example, stethoscope has utility to a doctor but not to a layman. Third, ethically neutral concept. The concept of utility has no ethical consideration. It is a morally colorless concept. The commodity should satisfy any want of a person without consideration of what is good or bad, desirable or undesirable. For example, a knife has utility to cut fruits and vegetables as well as it can be used to harm someone. Both wants are of different nature, but are satisfied by the same commodity. Thus, utility is ethically neutral. Fourth, utility differs from usefulness. Utility is the capacity of a commodity to satisfy human wants, whereas usefulness indicates value in the use of commodity. For example, milk has both utility as well as usefulness to a consumer, while liquor has utility only to an addict but has no usefulness. Fifth, utility differs from pleasure. A commodity may possess utility but it may not give any pleasure to the consumer. For example, injection for a patient has utility because it cures the ailment but it hardly gives any enjoyment or pleasure to him. Sixth, utility differs from satisfaction. Utility is a cause of consumption. Satisfaction is the end result of consumption. They are interrelated but still different concepts. For example, a thirsty person drinks a glass of water, since water has the capacity to satisfy thirst. Utility of water is the cause of consumption and the satisfaction derived is the end result of consumption. 7. Measurement of utility is hypothetical. Utility is an abstract concept. Cardinal or numerical measurement of utility is not possible. For example, a thirsty person after drinking water may derive higher or lower level of utility. Thus, utility can only be experienced and found either positive, zero or negative. Negative utility is called disutility. 8. Utility is multi-purpose. A commodity can satisfy the want of more than one person. It can also be put to several uses. For example, electricity can be used to serve many purposes and for many people at some point of time. 9. Utility depends on the intensity of want. Utility depends on the intensity of a want. More intense the want, greater will be the utility. As and when the urgency of want declines, utility diminishes. For example, a hungry person finds more utility in food than a person who is not hungry. 10. Utility is the basis of demand. A person will demand a commodity only if it gives utility to him. For example, a sick person has utility in medicines, hence he demands medicines. Types of utility. Following are some of the different types of utility. First, form utility. When the utility is created due to a change in the shape or structure of an existing material, it is called form utility. For example, toys made of clay, furniture from wood, etc. Second, place utility. When utility of a commodity increases due to a change in its place, it is called place utilities. For example, woolen clothes have more utility at cold places than at warm places. Transport creates place utility. Third, service utility. Service utility arises when personal services are rendered by various professionals. For example, services of doctors, teachers, lawyers, etc. Fourth, knowledge utility. When a consumer acquires knowledge about a particular product, it is called knowledge utility. For example, utility of a mobile phone or a computer increases when a person knows about its various functions. Fifth, possession utility. Possession utility arises when the ownership of goods is transferred from one person to another. For example, transfer of goods from the sellers to the buyers. Sixth, time utility. When the utility of a commodity increases with a change in its time of utilization, it is called time utility. For example, a student has more utility for textbook during examinations than in the vacations. Time utility is also observed when goods are stored and used at the time of scarcity. For example, blood bank. Concepts of utility. Following are the two main concepts of utility. First, total utility. Total utility refers to the aggregate of utility derived by the consumer from all units of a commodity consumed. It is an aggregate of utilities from all successive marginal utility. Following are the exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility. First, hobbies. In certain hobbies like collection of various stamps and coins, rare paintings, music, reading, etc., the law does not hold true because every additional increase in the stock gives more pleasure. This increased marginal utility, however, this violates the assumption of homogeneity and continuity.